Hello and welcome. In this Bow Insights presentation from our OpenClaw Experience Sharing series, we're diving into a critical topic. We'll be covering the 5 key do's and 5 don'ts for using AI agents, helping you harness their power both safely and productively. We're at an important inflection point where AI is moving from just thinking to actually acting. And with powerful new AI agents like OpenClaw, this introduces a whole new set of security and productivity trade-offs. After spending the last 30 days deep in the trenches with this technology, I've learned what works and what doesn't. So today, we're going to skip the hype and get straight to the practical do's and don'ts for using these agents safely and productively in a professional setting. So, what exactly is OpenClaw good at? The simplest way to think about it is this. While ChatGPT is like a brilliant librarian that times answers times questions, OpenClaw is an operations manager that times executes times tasks. It bridges the gap from thinking to doing, much like the image of the brain connected to the acting hand. It can use a terminal, browse the web, and run entire workflows autonomously. This ability to times act times is its superpower, but it's also what introduces risk, which is what we're here to discuss. If there's one reason I've stuck with OpenClaw, it's the memory and self-evolution system. Most language models are like goldfish. They forget everything once a session ends. OpenClaw is different. As you can see in this flow, it uses short-term task memory for immediate context. Then, through a process called distillation, it extracts key facts and your preferences. Finally, this is stored in its long-term memory, creating an evolving knowledge base. This is how it learns my specific preferences, moving from a simple tool to a true evolving assistant. To use AI agents safely and productively, you really need a framework. So let's walk through the 5 essential do's for architecture and workflow, starting with the most important one. First, create permanent agents with narrow, specific roles. The biggest mistake is building one God agent to do everything. Instead, create several specialized agents, like the 4 you see represented here. I run one for stock and financial market analysis, one for new technology exploration and code reviews, another for content generation and critique, and the 4th as a general email and administrative assistant. This keeps them focused, efficient, and much safer to manage. I'll talk more about how I orchestrate this and expand on my rationale next time. Second, and this is non-negotiable, you must enforce human-in-the-loop review gates. Automation is a powerful tool, but your judgment is the ultimate gatekeeper. As this diagram shows, any task deliverable from the agent first goes to a human for review. Only after you approve it does the action get executed. For instance, if OpenClaw drafts a social post, it stays in a draft state until I personally click approve. Never let an agent publish to the world without a final human eyes-on check. The third do is a critical one for security. Build an API abstraction layer. As you can see in this diagram, you should never give an agent direct access to your production database. That path must be blocked. Instead, the agent gets controlled access through a custom API that you write, which only exposes safe, pre-approved actions. This is a non-negotiable security boundary that keeps you in full control of your sensitive systems. The 4th do is to heavily leverage the agent's memory for workflow distillation. This means letting the agent learn from your past interactions to become more efficient over time. For example, once a week, I'll ask my agent, based on our conversations, how can I improve my instructions to you? This lets the agent help you optimize the way you work together, creating a powerful feedback loop. And finally, the 5th and arguably most critical do is to containerize and restrict the blast radius. I call this the sandbox rule. Always run your agents inside a controlled environment, like a Docker container or a dedicated virtual machine. Strictly apply the principle of least privilege. This ensures that if an agent is ever compromised or goes into an infinite loop, the damage is contained and it can't, for example, delete your entire home directory. Now, for what might be an unpopular opinion, I don't believe autonomous agents are the right approach for serious full-scale coding. I'm a firm believer in the human-in-the-loop model, where the developer remains the architect and the final gatekeeper. As the slide points out, this model is essential to avoid the major risks listed here. When the agent codes on its own, you can lose quality control, the architectural context behind key decisions, and most dangerously, you risk silent failures or security vulnerabilities that a human review would have caught. AI should be used to amplify developers, not replace their engineering judgment. A question I get all the time is, how can you use this with real sensitive data without compromising security? My approach is simple but strict. OpenClaw never touches my internal systems directly. As you can see in the terminal example here, the user, that's me, makes a request to OpenClaw. The agent then calls a custom Python API, which acts as a hard boundary. This API layer validates and authenticates the request times before times fetching any data. This allows me to audit every single call, ensuring I have controlled, verifiable actions, not total unchecked autonomy. To wrap up the technical side, let's cover the 5 don'ts that will save you a lot of headaches. First, and this is an important one, don't use autonomous agents for full-scale coding. As I've said, it's crucial to keep engineering judgment in human hands. While agents can be helpful for smaller tasks, full-scale development is where you risk losing quality control, architectural context, and introducing silent failures or security risks. Next, and this is a big one, don't create God agents. As you see on screen, this means giving a single agent access to your GCP keys, your email, and your Slack all at once. The blast radius is simply too high. This isn't just a technical risk, it's a reputational one. One bad automated email sent to a client can undo months of relationship building. Remember, autonomy is cheap, but trust is expensive. Third, and this is a critical security point, don't expose your agent environments to the open internet. Agent frameworks are designed to execute actions. If you leave an agent's terminal or interface exposed, you are essentially handing a hacker a remote shell right into your system. Fourth, and this is a critical security practice, don't store direct credentials inside the agent's context. If the agent gets compromised through a prompt injection attack, meaning it's tricked into ignoring its instructions, it could easily leak your API keys. The proper way to handle this is to use a dedicated secrets manager or environment variables to keep your credentials secure. And our final don't, as highlighted here, is to avoid chasing high variance autonomy. Giving an agent a vague, open-ended goal like, go find a way to make me money, is a bad prompt that leads to unpredictable outcomes. Instead, focus on structured, bounded operations. A request like, parse these 5 PDFs into this specific JSON schema is well-defined and leads to real, reliable productivity. This brings me to a core philosophy, which is summed up perfectly by the statement on this slide. Autonomy without governance is just risk. AI agents are incredible tools for productivity, freeing us from tedious tasks. But that freedom is only possible when we know the proper guardrails are in place. So while the agent provides the productivity, it's our human oversight that ensures safety. Don't let the hype convince you to take your hands completely off the steering wheel. Build your safety framework first, and then let the agent run. AI agents represent the next evolution of how we interact with machines. But the real advantage doesn't come from giving them unlimited power. It comes from designing the right boundaries. I'd love to hear from you. Are you using OpenClaw or other agents in your daily work? Let's talk about it in the comments. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. Next time, I'll show you exactly how I orchestrate my 4 permanent agents to automate my weekly reporting. This is Bo Insights. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.